Slamdown Podcast is sponsored by Body Slam and Jam, the wrestling game YouTuber. To see his videos on YouTube, search YouTube Body Slam, capital N and Jam, or to follow him by Twitter, it is at Body Slam, capital N, Jam. Welcome to another edition of Slamdown Podcast with me, your host, as always, Ashley Friend. Now, we're going to be covering everything Raw. But before I get into the details of Raw, I've got to say one thing. Raw seems to be stepping it up a little bit. I still don't believe they're using the cruiserweights in the right way, but they're making progress. I don't know if there's been a change in creative or if somebody higher up has said something or they're changing direction. But Raw, at the moment, has been a lot better. Start of the show, to be honest, was a bit boring. But it slowly built up and got better. From the way they've built this show and going onwards, I'm very, very excited for Survivor Series. I think they've done the right build-up. I think the way everything's been done has been amazing. But on this Raw Talk, I am going to cover Raw, but I'm also going to cover what do they call it? The little thing they did after all, the state of the address of WWE, because there was some interesting points to be raised about that. But at the minute, the way things have been building, they've been pushing, making it look like Raw is superior. The way they've sort of portrayed Raw, and especially with what happened on Raw, they're pushing Raw quite far. They're not letting SmackDown get the one over in any way. But we'll come more to that after I've covered Raw. So, like I just said, the match going into at the start, it was a bit slow. You know, we had Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns team up against Cesaro and Sheamus. Now, I would have rather seen Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns join up in this match. It's a good match. We saw at the end that Roman Reigns pulled Kevin Owens on top of Cesaro. It was nothing spectacular. It was very lackluster for me. Another thing that I'm disliking, especially with Raw and SmackDown, that every single show it seems to always be about Shane O'Mac or Daniel Bryan or about Stephanie and Mick Foley, when it really shouldn't be. It should be about the wrestling, the characters, but it seems to be all about them. I know they've got to build it up for Survivor Series, but it's overkill, you know. Leading on to that, we had Sami Zayn against Bo Dallas. Now, the way they've built Bo Dallas is like they were going to give him a push. You know, with the victories he's had and going up. So, with this match, I thought they're going to put Bo Dallas over. No. They put Sami Zayn over. And to me, they knew what they were doing with Bo Dallas. They wanted to push him up. But then to have him lose to Sami Zayn as quickly as he did, it's like you're pushing Bo Dallas back down again. I know Sami Zayn got the victory, but one thing I'm finding with Sami Zayn is like they don't know what to do with him. They don't know where to put him. They don't know what angle to put him in, where it sounds like they don't know what to do. And that seems to be the problem. I think with them putting the US title on Roman Reigns, for me, was a bad decision. You know, because the way I look at it, you should have your top division. Then you have your mid. And then you have your women's and tag teams. The mid division should be people like Sami Zayn. I was nearly going to say Rusev, but I believe Rusev belongs going for the top, to be honest. But like your Sami Zayn, I'm trying to think of other people on the roster. But you know, like your Dolph Ziggler types, the Miz type, them sort of types should be holding the US title. I don't believe Roman Reigns should be holding that title. But it feels like, because I don't want to push Roman Reigns down too far, I think, yeah, just give him the title. And the way they're doing it at the minute, it looks like he's going to go for the WWE Universe title. And, yeah, bad moves. Again, you know, Roman Reigns is getting booed all the time. Why have you not just made him heel yet? Still can't get made around that one. But yeah, we had Sami Zayn win. I don't know if they're going to be a build-up with Survivor Series where Sami Zayn is taking on either Dolph Ziggler or The Miz, depending what happens on SmackDown. But if Sami Zayn wins, then I can't even pronounce that title. That title will come over to Raw. Which, if that happens, Raw are going to have 2 mid-card titles. The only thing to me with Survivor Series you can sort of guess where it's going. I'll cover this, and I'll give my theory after what I think is going to happen with Survivor Series after I've gone through the whole thing. After that, we had Seth Rollins, Chris Jericho, Braun Strowman against the Raw Tag Team Champions New Day. Right. Braun Strowman looked really good in this match. He was used the right way. It showed his power. Felt like they buried New Day a little bit, but to be honest, New Day have been on such a massive push. They're actually in the universe. But it was a good match. Didn't hurt anybody. After that, we had the Brian Kendrick. There was an altercation backstage where the Cruiserweights have basically said you're not a leader and all that, saying, "Oh, I've beat you." No, I've beat you. For people that don't know, the Cruiserweight Champion will be taking on Kalisto at Survivor Series for the Cruiserweight Champion. If Kalisto wins, the whole Cruiserweights will be going to SmackDown. If Brian Kendrick wins, then they stay on Raw. Now, for me, this is one of the most exciting bits for me. Goldberg and Brock Lesnar face off. I've been watching wrestling, 97, 96, 97, around that time. I've been watching WCW. So for me, see them two go face to face, and I'll be honest, I'm rooting for Goldberg for this. I think I like Brock Lesnar, but I'm rooting for Goldberg, you know. But the way it was done was brilliant. You know, with having the altercation, and also we got to see more of Goldberg's promo work, because in WCW he hardly ever talked. You know, he couldn't really talk. Same when he had his WWE run, he wasn't much of a talker, but now he seems to be better on the mic. The way he insulted Paul Heyman and everything else, and he stayed as that Beast character. You know, when he came out that line to Paul Heyman and said, "I'll rip off your head and feed it to Brock." You know, it didn't feel like anything was scripted. It felt pure, it felt realistic, and it felt natural. So I don't know if they were told, just go out there, do your best, or if they were actually scripted, but it felt like they weren't scripted. I do wish that the WWE would give more wrestlers freedom on the mic. You know, instead of trying to control everything. Because the fans can see through it. But, yeah, it was a good face-off. I liked it that them two didn't even actually touch each other. But the way it was built, and as soon as Paul Heyman tried to speak, they were cheering for Goldberg. But I'll talk about Survivor a bit after, but it was a good face-off, and it makes me look forward to the match even more. And also, we saw Goldberg take his top off, like ready to fight Brock, and you saw that he was in good shape. It's not like he's got older, he's lost the shape. He's still in a good shape, especially for a man of his age as well. After that, we had the Raw Women's Champion Charlotte Flair and Sasha Banks take on Nia Jax and Alicia Fox. To me, to be honest, I fast-forward this match quite a few times. I don't know what it is, but I'm getting bored of the women's division on Raw. SmackDown's women's division, love it, but Raw's, I don't know. There's just saying I just can't get into it. After that, we had Enzo Amore, Big Kaz, Luke Gallows, Carl Anderson take on the Golden Truth and the Shining Stars. Couldn't really work out why they've put the tag like this, because I thought they would have had the Golden Truth with Enzo and Big Kaz. But anyway, because we know the Golden Truth are not in Survivor Series now, because the Shining Stars are, and all of that. It was a good match, actually. You know, when Gallows and Anderson hit their tag team finisher, and Enzo Amore was on the top rope, waiting to be thrown onto him. Made it look like they were going to reach for him, and then just laughed and then just pinned the guy. I like the way they're adding that heat. But the thing is, for me, at Survivor Series, if SmackDown wins, they could easily take Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. So people are like, well, hang on, you beat heat between them two guys, and them two guys are not here anymore. So they've got to be careful with how they're doing this. After that, we saw Team SmackDown confront Team Raw, where Stephanie invited Shane and Daniel Bryan to Raw, where they basically started talking, and Stephanie called out the Raw superstars. They surrounded them, and then the SmackDown superstars came out, and it turned into a massive brawl. It looked like they struggled with Braun Strowman. I'm not going to go too much into this because I want people to watch it. Some of the promos in that statement were brilliant. You know, AJ Styles made the list twice. One for his soccer mum hair, and two for being AJ Styles. Even James Ellsworth made the list. But it was brilliant. And the way it was timed, even if you don't want to watch the whole of Raw, watch that statement. Watch the ending of Raw. Amazing. Right. Now, I want to move on to the state of the WWE. Now, this was interesting. You had the Raw general managers and the SmackDown general managers with Remain in the middle, asking questions. Daniel Bryan was still being Daniel Bryan. And this is what I like. He was being factual. You know, there was a statement in there where Foley says he loved the company, his biggest regret leaving 2001. And Daniel made the point where he says, he said, you left and you went to wrestle for TNA. And he actually did say that live on air. And I'm quite surprised by that, because WWE normally sort of try and brush TNA out the carpet. But they said about Foley's background going to TNA, and I was gobsmacked. It did turn into a bit of a slagging match. Which I quite liked. You know, I wasn't going to really watch the State of Address, but once I heard about the TNA being mentioned in it, I thought I might as well give it a watch. And I'd say give it a watch. If you're going to watch Survivor Series, watch that. As a show, you know, I do talk about Raw and everything, but I don't go really in depth because I want people to watch it, and also people who haven't watched it, I don't want to spoil it too much. But going into Survivor Series, right? To me, there's two outcomes. I'm just going to go straight with the men's, the Raw, SmackDown, the main feature. There is two ways this can go. If SmackDown wins, I can see them drafting over Cesaro, because he said, Daniel Bryan said, well, your Raw sort of superstars are not happy. He went, I've had Cesaro saying he wants to come to SmackDown, and said that to her face. So I can see Cesaro going to SmackDown, and I also can see Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, because I think splitting up the club was a mistake, and I think they realised that was a mistake, and I think they draft them over and put them back together. That's what I can see happen that way. Or number two, and I know a lot of people have said about this, and they see it as a big possibility, where Dean Ambrose turns on SmackDown and goes on to Raw, and the Shield reform. That's another outcome I could see happening. Because, let's be honest, their numbers are down. They're trying to find a way to bring the numbers up. And they know how popular with the Shield was. That is a possibility. I would like to hear what way you think it'll go. Because don't forget, you can comment on this video. You can tweet. Let us know what you think on that. But I think it's going to go SmackDown. I think the way they've made Raw look like the powerhouse, I think they're going to go for SmackDown getting the upset and use it to shuffle a little bit. But let's go through the other starter titles, and I'll explain more about the shuffling side. I think Brian Kendrick's going to lose the Cruiserweight title. And this is why I think the title was put on him on the first place, because I don't think they wanted to have TJ Perkins go into Survivor Series and lose to Kalisto, because I don't think they wanted to hurt TJ Perkins. So I think that's going to SmackDown. And another reason I think it's going to SmackDown is they're creating a new show for the Cruiserweights. With SmackDown only being 2 hours, I can see it being SmackDown only 2 hours, the Cruiserweight show, and then talking smack. So I think what they're going to do is we're going to probably have 1 or 2, or maybe even just 1, Cruiserweight match on SmackDown for the title or whatever. And then the rest of the Cruiserweights, you see them wrestle on the new show. I think that's the way they're going to go with it. I think it's the bad way to go, but I think that's the way the WWE are looking at it. The Intercontinental title, I can see that going to Raw. The reason is, if they lose the Cruiserweights, they can't run Raw with just the Universal and the US title. So I think that might go over to Raw. And I think that might even be better for SmackDown, because SmackDown's only a 2-hour show. So they've got, you don't want to have too much that you've got to try and book all in to that time slot. And also, they could do more with the Cruiserweights. That's the way I see it anyway. So I think they are going to be the outcomes. There's nothing on the line for the women's match, but I think the women's match will go to Raw, because they've got to give Raw something. Raw's got to win something. So I think Raw will win that. But I think on the main, I think SmackDown will win, because I think they want to move some people around. Because they can't have... Because if Raw wins and takes 3 superstars away from SmackDown, think of it logically. SmackDown has had to draft people in. They've signed new superstars to build them up, build their roster up. So you suddenly wouldn't take 3 away to put SmackDown down again, and where they're going to have to look at getting other stars from. I do think there's a big twist coming. I think there's something that's going to happen. Something has got to happen at Survivor Series. I don't know if it's going to be, but something's got to happen. Also, we have got Bill Goldberg taking on Brock Lesnar. Now, I think Brock's going to win this. I think they'd be silly for Brock to lose because what I feel might happen, Brock wins, so then it's one apiece, and then there's going to be a rematch. And a rematch will probably be at another pay-per-view, maybe even WrestleMania. Because they could end it at WrestleMania, Goldberg-Brock, last match. It's possible. But it's also possible that Goldberg could be there more for than one match. Because of how much crowd support he gets, how much cheers from the fans, it's a possibility they might keep Goldberg around for a little while. We can see him having a match with Roman Reigns, with Rusev. You know, there is matches he could have. But as long as they don't overuse it. Because if you overuse someone, the fans are going to get bored. I don't think there's anything I've missed either. And I will apologise, viewers. I have got I'm plugged up nose at the minute. I've got my blocked sinuses, so that's why I don't, I'm trying to think of if there's anything I've missed or anything that I haven't covered. No, I think that's it. So, from my standpoint, I think Team SmackDown are going to win. I think they're going to get the majority wins on Survivor Series, and they're going to win the drafts and they're going to get the cruiserweights. That's what I believe. But if you think differently or got other opinions, post them in the comments. Contact us on Twitter. We will be back on air tomorrow with SmackDown Live talk. And then we'll be back after that. We'll be back on the Monday doing TNA talk, and then half an hour later doing Survivor Series talk. So big thanks to all the people that are watching. We are working on new things as well. I am talking to a couple of local bands as well that are going to be making a custom intro for SmackDown podcast. So there's a lot of stuff coming in the works. We're also looking at new graphics and really to give ourselves a good upgrade. And also don't forget to check out our sponsors, Body Slam and Jam. Streams videos of 2K17. Pretty good video so far. So definitely check him out. And that's it. So thanks to everybody watching, and we'll see you tomorrow.